In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 14, 2023 and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Illinois versus Maryland. A pick 6 thrown by Taulia Tagovailoa early in the second quarter against Ohio State last week completely flipped that game on its head for the Maryland Terrapins. Maryland was up 10-0 at the time, and after that play made it 10-7, Ohio State went on to outscore the Terrapins 30-7 the rest of the way. It wasn't even that bad initially, as it was tied at 10 at half, and Tagovailoa rushed for a touchdown right out of the break to go up 17-10. The avalanche happened from there though, and with the Buckeyes winning the fourth quarter 17-0 with a late field goal, it was Ohio State who left with the against the spread win as well. Maryland returns home this week to host an Illinois Illini team that's not really been close to covering a number all year. It's got to be a get-right spot for the Terrapins, right? There were high expectations coming into this season for Illinois, but they have been nothing but a major disappointment. In the last game against Nebraska at home, they managed only 7 runs, and that led to the defeat. Luke Altmyer completed 29 of his 47 passes for 289 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. On the season, Illinois is averaging 19 points while their defense is giving up 29 points per game. The offense is ranked 121st in baseball, and they need to find a way to get the offense going here. Maryland is looking for a bounce-back game after they were defeated in the last game against Ohio State. At the end of the first quarter, they were up 7-0, but they only scored 10 more total points, and that led to the defeat. Quarterback Taulia Tagovailoa threw 2 interceptions, and he can't be turning the ball over again here. Maryland on the season is averaging 35 points while their defense is giving up 17 points per game. The offense is ranked 28th, but the defense for most of the season has been overlooked. The Fighting Illini hasn't had things go according to plan so far this season. While it isn't quite rock bottom, getting dropped 20-7 by Nebraska at home last weekend isn't exactly the pinnacle either. Illinois also got dusted by 25 points at Purdue 2 weeks ago, and the Illini is 0-3 inside the Big Ten, losing each game by at least 13 points. Overall, the Illini has lost 4 games, while failing to cover all 6 games to date. The offense has really struggled to find any continuity, averaging just 15.5 points per game in the past 4 outings. The Terrapins of Maryland had no issues moving the ball. Taulia Tagovailoa is a stud, and he has completed 62.9% of his pass attempts for 1,660 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while also running for 4 scores. Maryland is a well-balanced offense, as Roman Hemby has rushed for a team-best 344 yards and 4 scores, while 4 receivers have managed 255 or more receiving yards. This is a team with a lot of weapons. Maryland probably should have covered a 17.5 point number at Ohio State last week, but head coach Ryan Day elected to kick a field goal with less than 4 minutes remaining, down 34-17. Fishy, that snapped a 3-0 against the spread run for the Terps, including wins by at least 22 points in the team's first 2 conference games. This is a good Maryland team that just made too many mistakes last week, especially at quarterback against a top 5 team. Tagovailoa will not be facing Ohio State's opportunistic defense this week. He'll help Maryland pour it on just as they did in their last home game against Indiana, but they should be able to get Hemby and Antwain Littleton II going on the ground against the 110th ranked run defense. Offensively, Illinois will move the ball some in the air, but won't be able to run on Maryland's 28th ranked defense. When your offensive line can't open up holes in the running game, the defense will tee off on the quarterback and force a few turnovers. Maryland doesn't have an opponent to look ahead to with a bye coming up and then Northwestern in 2 weeks. It does feel like a big number with the Terps, but I can't trust the Illini against this Maryland offense. Illinois defense is nowhere near what it was last season, and I just think this ends up being one that Maryland wins by 17 or even 21 points. So the Maryland Terrapins to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Maryland hasn't played 2 consecutive unders all season long and are on a 5-2 over-under run at home dating back to last season. They only scored fewer than 20 points like they did last week versus Ohio State, twice all of last year, and went 1-1 over-under but did allow at least 30 points against both times. This was after Maryland owned a 4-1 over-under record after scoring less than 20 points in their previous game back in the 2021-2022 season. The Terrapins are going to score even if they aren't at their best here, and they still likely win this game with ease more often than not. That means plenty of scoring drives for Tagovailoa and company, as 30-plus points is generally the norm for this team at home. The Alini offense finds decent success in his one as well, and the fact that they already like to throw the ball a bunch should work against a Maryland defense that is weaker against the pass. I expect Illinois to have plenty of scoring opportunities as well. Maryland put up 44 points against Indiana at home, and the Alini allowed Purdue to score 44 points in their last road games. I see Maryland picking up a pretty big lead early, and when they put their backups in on defense in the fourth quarter, Illinois will score enough, though this game's score will probably go over the total in the third quarter. Illinois has faced just one explosive offense on the road aside from Purdue, and that was Kansas. They gave up 28 points to Toledo at home. The Terps will put up at least 35 points in this game. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Iowa versus Wisconsin. The final Big Ten kickoff of the weekend will pit the Iowa Hawkeyes against the Wisconsin Badgers on Saturday afternoon. Both schools are fresh off a conference win and are the only Big Ten West teams with multiple conference wins. Whoever takes this will have an early edge at the top of the standings. Each team's opportunity arises in Camp Randall Stadium. The home team has left victorious the past 4 years between these schools. Will Wisconsin make it 5, or is Iowa going to steal one? The Iowa Hawkeyes look for their second road win to improve to 6-1 on the year. Iowa has won 4 of its last 7 road games. Cade McNamara is completing 51.1% of his passes for 505 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Eric All and Luke Lachey have combined for 411 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, while Seth Anderson has 5 receptions. The Iowa Hawkeyes' ground game is averaging 120.3 yards per contest, and LeSean Williams leads the way with 285 yards on 50 carries. Defensively, Iowa is allowing 16 points and 324.5 yards per game. Jay Higgins leads the Iowa Hawkeyes with 74 tackles. Deontay Craig has 2 sacks, and Sebastian Castro has 2 interceptions. The Wisconsin Badgers look for a 4th straight win to improve to 5-1 on the year. Wisconsin has won 7 of its last 10 home games. Tanner Mordecai is completing 64.2% of his passes for 1,021 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Will Pauling and Chimerdike have combined for 471 receiving yards and 1 touchdown, while Bryson Green has 10 receptions. The Wisconsin Badgers' ground game is averaging 204.4 yards per contest, and Braylon Allen leads the way with 472 yards and 7 touchdowns. Defensively, Wisconsin is allowing 18 points and 356.4 yards per game. Hunter Wohler leads the Wisconsin Badgers with 50 tackles. James Thompson Jr. has 3 tackles, and Ricardo Hallman has 4 interceptions. If you like old school Big Ten football, then you've come to the right place. Both of these teams entered the season with higher hopes for their offenses, but that success hasn't come to fruition thus far. Wisconsin is still an outstanding rushing team with Braylon Allen at running back, but the Badgers' new-look passing game under offensive coordinator Phil Longo has struggled to find consistency. The Badgers also dead average in early downs expected points added, often playing from behind the chains, even against inferior competition. That won't fly against this Iowa team that once again has an extremely strong defense, ranking inside the top 20 in pass success rate, early downs expected points added, and net points per drive for college football data. On the flip side, this Hawkeye offense is about as bad as it gets, ranking outside the top 110 in expected points added per pass, expected points added per rush, passing success rate, rush success rate, and net points per drive. However, as we've seen in the past, all shenanigans are possible with this Iowa team, so I wouldn't rule it out if the the Hawkeyes don't score more than 3 to 7 offensive points and have to rely on a defensive or special teams touchdown to get us to the window here. That's why getting this line at double digits is so important, particularly with a total of 34 points. Just don't have much faith in either passing offense, and these coaches are more than happy to run the ball and grind out long drives that lead to field goals in the red zone. The Badgers own a 49 to 45 to 2 advantage in the head-to-head series and are 7 to 3 against Iowa over the last 10 meetings straight up. Yet, they have split those 10 against the spread, and Iowa is actually 3 to 1 against the spread over the last 4 games against Wisconsin. This season, the Hawkeyes are 3 to 2 to 1 against the spread, and the Badgers are 1 to 3 to 1 against the spread. The big battle here will be between the defenses. Which one will hold up more in the end? It stands to reason that the Wisconsin run game may be the most viable offensive option on either side. Iowa does well against the run and should do well to slow down Allen, but I don't think they can hold on enough to pull out a victory here. That said, I do believe that the Hawkeyes can remain close. Somehow that offense, despite lacking yardage, has shown they can still score. Wisconsin should be obvious favorites at home as it's the far more balanced team with an above-average offense. Iowa is horrible offensively, and that includes being ranked 132nd in total offense and 107th in scoring offense. With that said, Iowa still gets after it defensively, and that's why it's sitting with a 5 to 1 record. It's not pretty with Iowa, but this club keeps finding ways to hang around and steal games in the end. This is a rivalry spot, and I believe the Hawkeyes' defense can keep them in this game. So the Iowa Hawkeyes to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both of these schools are allowing fewer than 20 points per game. Each offense is also struggling with the passing game, so quick scores shouldn't be a feature of Saturday's battle. 3 consecutive meetings between Iowa and Wisconsin have ended below 36 points. The only way either side is going to move the ball effectively is on the ground, which will keep the clock running. Each of those rushing attacks will contend with a defense allowing less than 4 yards per carry. Ball movement will be minimal on Saturday, as will scoring. Neither offense is explosive, though Wisconsin obviously holds a greater advantage in that department with a legitimate run game. Neither team airs it out, and both at times seem straight up afraid to do so. Iowa's offense is one of the worst in the country, going up against a very stout defense. That's where we start. Then we see that Wisconsin's path to victory on offense is via their ground game, which should eat up big chunks of the clocks. This season the under is 4 to 2 in Iowa's games and 3 to 2 in Wisconsin's games, and over the last 10 meetings between these two has gone 6 to 3 to 1, with 3 straight unders all hitting under the total placed on this matchup. This game has all the makings of an old school Big Ten defensive slog. Don't even blink or think twice about this one. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Louisville versus Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Panthers play host to the Louisville Cardinals in an Atlantic Coast Conference showdown on Saturday night from Acrisure Stadium. The Cardinals are off to one of their best starts in recent memory, bringing a 6 to 0 record into this one. For the Panthers at 1 to 4, they are going in the opposite direction and are in need of an upset win. Pittsburgh has dominated this series over the years, winning 6 of the last 8 meetings dating back to 2008, though the Cardinals did win last year. This is one that could be a blowout or could end up being a historic upset, which means that either way, fans won't want to miss this. The Louisville Cardinals look for their second road win to remain undefeated on the season. Louisville looks for its first 7 to 0 start since the 2012 college football season. Chad Plummer is completing 66% of his passes for 1,551 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Jamry Thrash and Omri Huggins-Bruce have combined for 726 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns, while Chris Bell has 7 receptions. The Louisville Cardinals' ground game is averaging 192.3 yards per contest, and Jawhar Jordan leads the way with 653 yards and 8 touchdowns. Defensively, Louisville is allowing 18 points and 322.8 yards per game. TJ Quinn leads the Louisville Cardinals with 42 tackles. Ashton Gillott has 6.5 sacks, and Devin Neal has 3 interceptions. The Pittsburgh Panthers need a win to snap a 4-game losing streak. Pittsburgh has won 4 of its last 6 home games. Phil Jurkovic is completing 50.9% of his passes for 818 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Gavin Bartholomew and Kanata Mumfield have combined for 498 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, while Bub Means has 7 receptions. The Pittsburgh Panthers' ground game is averaging 115.6 yards per contest, and Rodney Hammond Jr. leads the way with 196 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Pittsburgh is allowing allowing 26 points and 301.6 yards per game. Donovan McMillan leads the Pittsburgh Panthers with 44 tackles. Bam Brima has 3 sacks, and Marquis Williams has 1 interception. The Cardinals of Louisville bumped off Notre Dame week as the crowd stormed the field, including rapper Jack Harlow. It was a seminal moment for Louisville football, which attained a win, bowl eligibility, and a ranking inside the top 15 in both of the major polls. But Louisville has designs on much bigger things, and if it hopes to make those dreams into reality, it needs to take care of teams in very winnable situations. Louisville topped Pitt 24-10 last season at home, but it has dropped 6 of the past 8 meetings overall against the Panthers. That includes a gut-wrenching 23-20 loss in the most recent trip to Pittsburgh on September 26, 2020. Pitt has been a hot mess so far, dropping 4 straight games since a 45-7 win over Wofford and football championship subdivision team. The Panthers are not only 0-4 straight up against football bowl subdivision teams, but 0-4 against the spread too. The defense was holding the Panthers in games early, allowing just 17 points per game in the first 2 games, but it has allowed 39.5 in the past 2 games as the Pitt defense looks tired and overworked. That's not good with a Louisville offense, averaging 467.3 total yards per game, 275 passing yards per contest, and 36 points per game coming to town. The Panthers are coming off of their bye week as they hope to regroup after a tough start to the season. The Panthers are 1-4 this year, and their offense ranks towards the bottom in most categories. It has been so poor that the Panthers are switching quarterbacks. Will go with their backup sophomore quarterback against the Cardinals. Will this be a letdown game for the Cardinals after their big win over Notre Dame? This Cardinals team is too good all around from their defense to their offense. The rushing attack led by Jordan has been a beast all year long. He is averaging over 7 yards per carry, which has been incredible to watch. Louisville showed their toughness by hanging around against Notre Dame and then reeling off 16 straight points to take the win. The Cardinals continue to be taken for granted, and despite that, continue to find and stack up on wins. The Cardinals are dominant on both sides, while being filled with athleticism and experience continues to pay dividends. On the other side, Pittsburgh hasn't been able to put together much on the offensive end, and while the defense is strong, they simply don't have enough weapons to keep up in this one. The Cardinals have the advantage at nearly every position, and there remains little doubt that the Cardinals are a serious contender in the Atlantic Coast Conference. When compared to Pittsburgh, one of the worst Power 5 teams, it's hard to see this game remaining competitive. The Cardinals are 3-1 against the spread in their last 5 games and will continue their dominating ways in this one. I'm a little concerned about a letdown spot for the Louisville Cardinals after beating Notre Dame last week, but this is an undefeated team that has a top 25 scoring offense and scoring defense, so I'd assume they have bigger goals. The Pittsburgh Panthers don't do much of anything right, and they're 122nd in total offense and 100th in scoring defense. I'm afraid Pitt doesn't have the horses needed to keep up in this contest. It's surprising that this spread wasn't in the double digits, but the books appear to be banking on a hangover after the big win over Notre Dame. Don't count on it. Pitt is a bad football team, and even if the Cards do not bring their A game, they're still good enough to win going away. So the Louisville Cardinals to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Louisville will be content to move the ball on the ground and lean on one of the nation's best running backs, which will slow this game down. It'll help Pittsburgh has a strong secondary to keep the big plays to a minimum too. For the Panthers, adding in their own offensive woes, and there's no doubt that given this is the best opponent they've seen so far, there will be struggles again on the offensive end. Louisville will use their ground game to take control of the clock and shorter Pittsburgh's drives. I don't think Pittsburgh scores more than 14 points in this game, and I don't see the Cardinals exploding for a ton of points. The under is 2-1 in Louisville's 3 road games. Louisville has firepower and weapons, but it'll be a low-scoring game when they head to Pittsburgh for this weekend's showdown. With Louisville rolling to a victory, expect it to come in a low-scoring way. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.